In this video, I visit the Norfolk Broads and capture some images during a cold snap across the UK with freezing and foggy conditions. Little did I know that on my last morning there, I would be lucky enough to wake up to an amazing hoar frost, something you don't see very often. In this video, I share this amazing experience with you. Good morning everybody, and welcome back to another video. For this shoot I've come out to a place called Thurne, and what you can see behind me is Thurne Mill. It's situated on the Norfolk Broads, not too far away from Great Yarmouth, and it's somewhere I come to quite often actually when I'm here in Norfolk, and it's a really beautiful little village. There are actually two windmills in this location, this one here, Thurne Mill, and then there's one a little bit down the river called St Benet's Mill, I believe. But you can get some great shots of both mills, so there's plenty to photograph here. It is a very cold morning, and yeah, it's probably the second or third overnight freeze we've had in this area, which has been great from a photographic point of view. And coupled with that, we've been getting some low-lying mist and fog, which has just been really spectacular. I've been really enjoying getting the drone up over the last few days and getting some aerial shots of the mist rolling over the land. And yeah, it just creates a really good atmosphere. That's what I'm hoping for today. So I'm just going to have a wander about this morning. I do know this location fairly well, but when the conditions are like this, the compositions and the scenes always change, and you can never guarantee these shots, but I'm going to try my best to get some nice ones this morning. After not quite getting the conditions I was after, I was a little disappointed with these images. These little huts, I'm not really sure what to call them, to be honest, but they're really photogenic, and there's some nice trees on that side as well, so together they make quite a nice image. After a slightly anticlimactic sunrise, I drove 15 minutes up the road to a place called Hoar Hill to see if the conditions would work a little bit better for me there. The next location I've come to is Hoar Hill. It's about a 15-minute drive from Thurne, where I was a little bit earlier. I decided to come to this location as the conditions weren't really panning out as I'd hoped in Thurne. The mist and fog is actually quite thick. It's thicker than I thought it would be, which means the sun, although it's well risen now, it's not actually kind of penetrating through that mist and fog, so I'm not really getting the light that I was after. What I think might happen today is it'll be like this the entire day, so that is an advantage and a disadvantage. I suppose I'm not going to quite get the light that I was hoping for, but equally these are still really nice conditions, so I'm going to make the most of it. What I've got framed up here is right in the distance. There's, I can't remember the name of it, I'll put it up on screen, but it's a lovely, really sort of skeletal looking mill. It's more of a sort of mini drainage pump. I'm basically just zoomed in about 200 millimeters, and what I've got at the moment is quite a nice arch of the tree, sort of on the left hand side, and then obviously on the right I've got the mill in the distance, and yeah, because of the fog there's quite a nice layer of separation. I was reasonably happy with these images, and I think I got something fairly unique at this location. So I'm just about finished here at Hoar Hill. Got a few nice images, had a good flight with the drone as well. And yeah, it's always really interesting coming to new locations with the drone. As I say, I've been here many times before with the camera, but having that bit of elevation and flexibility adds so much, I think, because a lot of the Broads is very flat, and it can be very tricky to photograph at times. I've definitely struggled myself. I just think when you can get a bit of elevation, it just adds so much, and it offers such a unique point of view. Just after lunchtime, I decided to visit Horsey Mill, which is a particular favourite location of mine in the Norfolk Broads. And I've arrived at Horsey Mill, as you can see right in the far distance there. And I'm actually parked up in a lay-by to photograph the mill from an angle I haven't actually done so before. Usually in the summer, these reeds, as you can see next to me, become a little bit overgrown, and it's quite hard to actually see the water as it runs alongside the mill. But obviously in the winter months it does die down a little bit more. So I've been playing around with getting these reeds in the foreground and the mill in the background. And I think with the fog, it really adds quite a lot of atmosphere and a little bit of depth as well. So I've driven down and parked in the main car park, and yeah, I'm having a bit of difficulty on this particular location. And the main reason is basically the sails are sort of pointing in the wrong direction, or as you can just see behind me. Usually the sails are facing towards me where I am right now. At the moment they're facing away and to the right a little bit. It's a bit hit and miss sometimes coming to this location. I suppose that was a big part of the reason why I stopped in the lay-by earlier, is to get that shot, because quite often the sails don't work for that particular composition. So I've walked into the field opposite the sails, so I'm now directly facing them, which is something I prefer and it's something I look for. So yeah, this is a really frosty field, and as you can see on the video there, there's a little bit of water running through the middle of the field. I'm not sure what this is, to be honest. I think it must be spillover from the mill, but as you can see, I've got my camera down really low, as I really want to accentuate all the frost in the foreground. The water is icy, but it's not completely frozen. So yeah, it doesn't quite bring out the texture, but it's really nice nonetheless. And I'm not sure if you can see on the video, but there's some grasses sticking out of the water, and that little bit sticking out of the water has become really frosty. So it's really interesting actually, and I quite like it. It's adds a bit of interest into the foreground. So yeah, it's unfortunately the water doesn't quite lead into the mill. It kind of goes off to the left, off to the side a bit, which is a little bit of a shame. One thing I was careful of when I was walking to get to this spot was not. It's like when you take photos in the snow. You unintentionally walk through your composition. You know, you obviously don't know that that's in your composition at the time, but the footprints left, it sort of ruins it. So and it's the same effect with the frost. I can see my footprints going in the back there. So I was sort of conscious to walk around and give a wide berth.
My final location of the day was the Boathouses at Hickling Broad, and somewhere I have struggled to photograph on some previous visits.
Alright, so the next location is a place called Hickling Broad. And yeah, this area is quite popular among photographers in particular, mainly because of these really characterful boat houses. And as you can see in the background, the frost has got a lovely effect on the roof, because they're thatch roofs. The frost has obviously got to them, so something I haven't seen before at this location, so I'm sort of taking advantage of it. It's also worth mentioning as well that it's close to sunset at the moment, and yeah, it's just been a day full of icy, frosty conditions, as well as it being misty and foggy. The mist has cleared up a little bit throughout the day, but it's still very atmospheric. Still great conditions to get some photos in. I had a quick look at the forecast for tomorrow as well, and it's looking like it will be even colder than it is today, so possibly 2 or 3 degrees cooler, which will bring it down to something like -4 or something, -5. So it's going to be a really chilly one. It's also going to be plenty of fog around, so probably even more so than this morning. There are also some other boat houses a little bit further up this pathway, which I'm going to check out as well. As you can see, these little boat houses are really characterful. I really do like them. I've been here numerous times, but never in these conditions. But there's not as much frost on these roofs in particular, and I've noticed quite a lot of the grass and little pools of water have started to thaw out. So, but I really love some of the compositions here, and I think this is probably going to be the location I come back to tomorrow morning.
As you might be able to see, some of the frostiness had started to fade at this point in the day. What I really love about this time of year on the Norfolk Broads is the reeds turn a lovely kind of golden brown, and I just think in these conditions that's just such a great contrast. If you can find those little patches of ice and that sort of contrasting colour of the reeds, I think that's a really good complementary colour set. So yeah, just trying to look for that at the moment. Yeah, I think tomorrow morning will probably be a lot better. As I say, it's forecasted to be even colder and even foggier, so that's only a good thing, I think.
Good morning everybody, and welcome back to Hickling Broad. I've come back to the Boathouses and it is very cold this morning. It's about minus 4, -5, and yeah, as you can see, the water right next to me, because it's very shallow, has sort of frozen over. And yeah, similar to the shot I got yesterday. There's not as much frost on the thatch as there was yesterday, but I think all the reeds and the grass surrounding it is frozen now, so I think it's a lot better shot. And yeah, I can't wait to move up the lane and photograph some of the other shots I saw yesterday. Yeah, it's quite amazing driving down here this morning. All the leaves were frozen over, all the little puddles were frozen as well. The grass as well just takes on such a sort of special texture, which yeah, I just love. So yeah, I'm just going to take this shot and then probably move down and find those other shots that I got yesterday. These are perfect conditions, just what I was hoping for. Everything has just got a layer of frost on it, including the reeds. It just makes for a really fresh and magical atmosphere. I'm just being mindful of the reeds in the foreground, because there is a slight wind about this morning, and it's gently swaying them. So I might have to wait around to get this shot in particular in the highest quality possible without pumping up the ISO. So yeah, and just sort of being a bit mindful of that. Just love how the reeds almost lead you into the frame. There's not as much fog as yesterday. Obviously, as you head out towards the Broad, the water over there, the main body of water, it does get quite foggy, but not so much in this immediate area, which is not too bad, to be honest. I wasn't really concerned about the fog yesterday. I think as long as you have a little bit of atmosphere in the far distance, that's all what matters, I think. Often you want to create that layer of separation, which the fog does do.
I really love this shot I've got framed up at the moment. I just think the framing is so good. We've got the reeds in the foreground here, and then as you go past that, you go down a channel between the boathouses, and then it's just into the abyss of the fog. Looks really cool. I love the colour contrast as well. Kind of got these warmer orange tones of the reeds, and then sort of the blue cooler tones in the boathouses and the fog as well. It just yeah, I really love this shot.
As I mentioned yesterday, I have been to this location a number of times before with the camera, but what I didn't mention is I haven't necessarily come away with anything that I've been really happy with. Often haven't had the right conditions, or I just have struggled to find a good composition for whatever reason. But I think the issue was I was always coming here at sunrise or sunset and hoping to get those nice colours in the sky, which is quite difficult with this location and the direction that it looks out on. You're often sort of not in the optimal spot to get direct sunlight. So yeah, I've always found that a bit tricky, but I think having come here this morning in the frosty conditions, I think this is definitely the time to come here. A lot of the compositions I would struggle with before are now working. So this one I've got set up as a good example. Just found before it just wasn't really interesting. I didn't think the reeds added much in the foreground, but now that they're frozen, I think that really adds a good amount of interest. So one of the benefits of there not being as much mist and fog today is that we might actually get a glimmer of the sun. As you can see in the background there, the sun is just about to poke through the clouds, and I think that will totally transform the scene. I'll probably have to be quick as well, because I think the sun will quickly defrost and melt some of the ice that has built up on those reeds.
These conditions really were magnificent, and something I hadn't ever experienced with the camera. It's only looking back now that I realise what an amazing morning this really was. It also wasn't until I got the drone up in the air that I realised how beautiful the trees looked, covered in the frost.
So the sun has been up for about half an hour, I would say, and it is just absolutely beautiful. So good. I got the drone up for about 20 minutes or so, and it just looks spectacular. Yeah, it's not until I get the drone up and go around this area you kind of realise how many little boathouses there are, which just look phenomenal in these conditions. Really cool. So yeah, I'm just what I'm doing now is pretty much just taking the same compositions that I did before the sun came up, and some are a little bit better than without the sun, some not so much, so just one of those that I'll shoot as much as I can, and then I can always decide when I'm editing. But no sign of the frost going away either, so this is really good.
I really loved capturing these boathouses dotted around the lake, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, I didn't realise how many there were in this area.
The light is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I'm just what I'm doing is I'm just walking along this pathway and looking at all the different boathouses. yeah, I just seem to find different angles, different shots, and yeah, what I'm doing now is focusing more on the details in the foreground, and there's certain things that I missed the first time round, and I'm just sort of making sure that I'm capturing the best of the scene. I'm also switching my lenses as well. I got the telephoto lens out not too long ago, and yeah, just sort of picking out some details as well as obviously the wide angles. Taken so many shots, but I just feel like I just want to make the most of it, because yeah, these mornings don't happen very often. So I am probably going to head back now. The light is still really good, but it's just on that cusp of getting harsh. It's still absolutely beautiful though. I'm not sure, I might have to get back to the car and see where else I could go, but yeah, I just want to make the most of these conditions really.
And that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, you can like this video, and if you want to see more content from me, you can always subscribe to my channel.